welcome back. We're back in Timberborn in our Oakspire Heights colony. And last time we left off with a little bit of a problem. We had a bunch of beavers that were out in the bad water for a little bit too long, and we've got 46 unwell beavers. So this time we're going to deal with that, and I hope deal with the flooding that comes from it on top. But first of all, let's go ahead and start on working on the antidote. We don't have many trees, so I'm just going to sacrifice all of my pines here. And we're going to come back in. Let's turn this on. Let's turn this on. And we're going to say, plant up some dandelions down here. How about all this area? Maybe not this one. There we go. They can plant themselves some dandelions. And with the dandelions, they can get our first line of defense today, which is the herbalist. We're going to have to put that, I want to put you probably up here. That way it's kind of in the area for where all the beavers stay anyway. So we'll put that in. We'll say that's fairly important to get that in. They're planting that up. We'll get all these. We'll let them cut that down. And that's the first step in hopefully curing these 46 beavers before they get too bad. The other thing that we want to do today is go all the way up top. As you can see, we have quite a bit of bad water that got through on that last surge of basically killer red water that came through. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and take care of these areas today and see if we can get them capped off and maybe build a bridge over here. But let's start. We've got a couple of dynamites here and there that we can let loose. In fact, we need another one down at the end. So let's go ahead and get that in there. Yep, there we go. We'll make a new path right along here. If it lets us. There we go. They can come in and put that in. Now for this, let's start with getting things done there. We're going to put in a new sluice, and we're going to start blocking this off. We've got plenty of science to get what we need for this, so let's just grab a couple of platforms here and there. You know what? Let's start with the levees. We know we're going to need levees, probably here and here, and we'll need one here. Now, we can't put one on top of here, so it may always flow backwards and off, but theoretically, this should be blocking. I don't know how that works, being this high up in the air. We'll find out, though. We're going to put those in, and then let's go ahead and put in some platforms here. Is that a 2? Nope, we need a 3. Let's get a 3, a 4, and then we really only need a 1 here, so let's put that in here, and that will cover this area. Then we need a 2. Cover this up. Yep, there we go. And we'll finally just block the rest of these off like that. And we'll get our impermeable floors put in so that it won't let out any unneeded water. Then all we have to do is just... Oh, you know what we ought to do? We ought to put a platform in here. There we go. Get an impermeable floor here. There we go. Now we won't have a bunch of bad water spilling over. Let's also give them some stairs just in case they can't get up there for any reason. And that should lock this off as long as we close below contamination 1% there. And then over here we do the opposite and close above 1%. There we go, 1%, 1%. There we go. Those should be open, and that will hopefully filter those out. Now we have to do the same thing over here, which they got our dynamite laid, so let's go ahead and get that taken care of. We're going to take that out. We're going to say close above contamination 1%, and we're going to put... There we go. We're going to put another one there. This one will close below 1%, so hopefully the water gets sent out that way, and then all we got to do is close this area off just like we did before with the other one. Let's go ahead and we'll put a couple of those in there. There we go. Then we need maybe platform here for it to stand on. We need a 2 platform to cover these all up. There we go. We'll go ahead and take that out of there. Let's take this. And then all we need is this taken out of here. We'll go over here. That goes there. Oh, maybe. There we go. This camera is definitely different at this altitude. There we go. That should handle most of them. Do I have that set up? Yep, that should. We'll go ahead and put it in a stairway. Again, just in case they can't get up there. And we'll say that these are super important to get in. Just in case we have another terrible weather situation come in. We can go ahead and take care of that. In fact, we can use some of this. We don't need those. And everything else should be okay. Yep, we'll wait for them to get that built. While we're waiting for our antidote to get made and our beavers to be less contaminated, I was kind of going around the map to see where we can pull in some extra trees, since we're also a bit tree starved at the moment. And I found a couple of places. For instance, down here has a couple that with one log I can pull in a whole bunch more. And then there's a spot over here. It's kind of hidden back off of the beaten path, but it does have some trees. So we can come in, and if we put a couple of lumberjacks here, we can get some trees from here as well. Well, let's put them here. That'll be fine. There we go. And they should be able to pull in some trees there. Also, on our tree farm over here, we do have a couple of trees here and there. However, let's make sure that we've got everything planted up as much as we can possibly get. So all of the land is possibly being used. I think these are all marked. Yep. And then we did put this in here. So let's get at least one beaver over here to pull in all of these trees. Should not be too difficult. And then we've got a section of trees over here that we were working to last time that we need to put something down for. There we go. We can do that. Those can go in there. Question is, how do I get to these other trees in here? It looks like almost every spot has been taken. So we'll figure that out eventually. There's a couple more trees in here that'll probably need to be cut down eventually. There we go. All of those. Oh, and there's one extra there. So hopefully that'll pull us in just a couple more trees where we need them. Also noticing there's some trees along here we could definitely pull in. Let's see if we can get a couple of lumberjacks up here somewhere. There we go. Yeah, that ought to work just fine. Well, except that there's nowhere for that one to go. So let's not put one there. Let's put one down here. There we go. This will let them pull in all of those. We'll make sure that they're marked and ready to go. At least a couple trees. Any will help at this point. We'll get all of those. We'll get one of these set up maybe there for the moment. Bring the path out. There we go. That'll get us those trees off the side of the hill, and then we can worry about going and getting all the rest of these. We've already got some of them getting pulled in over here. We're just going to have to figure out how to get most of these off so that we can get around to the other side. We've got our herbalist up and running, and we've had a couple of dandelions come in, so hopefully we get enough antidote to cure these 41 beavers. But we've also started getting some injuries, so maybe it's time to look into getting that medical bed. There we go. We're just going to toss a couple of them up here somewhere. Let's do, yep, right there. Looks good. We'll do those, and we'll put a couple here and here. There we go. Just in case we start getting more and more injuries. You know how clumsy those beavers can be. So while they're building those, I wanted to look and see if we could continue our tubeway, maybe upwards. We'll eventually want to continue it outwards as well, but as you can see, the tubeway is serving quite a few of the beavers pretty well right now. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to come up over here, and let's grab some platforms, go this way, maybe. Go this way. Well, maybe. Map is a little weird. There's the next red surge. Okay, well, how are we doing up top? Do we have those in? We will set you for 24 hours. Maybe, just maybe, they can get all of those done. Because I need that not to make quite as big a mess this time. So let's go this way. We'll start over here, and then we'll connect that in later. But let's go take a look and see how they're doing up top. They've got this one all done. However, I forgot to put in the stuff here. So we're going to do that real quick. Let's get this one here. Yep. And then we need, what, a 3 to finish it off. And we'll do the impermeable floor here. We'll say that again, those are super important. We're up to 24 hours, so I want them to get that done just as soon as possible. And I know this is going to make this land here probably unusable, but I would rather have it not spill out all over the colony and just hope for the best there. So we'll let them build that, and then we'll turn the hours back down once that's built, but everything else should be okay. We did get in a wall over here. It still may overflow, but hopefully not as bad. We'll see whenever that comes up. While we're waiting to see if that comes in, we might as well see if we can take care of some stuff down here. What I want to do is, one, I want to get the gears moved over to this. Are you gears? Nope, you're paper. So let's put one in for gears so that we can demolish this, and I want to start leveling some of this area out here. Let's go ahead and grab a whole bunch of dynamite, because we're going to need a whole bunch. And we will simply start coming across here, leveling this out to the bottom layer. And then we'll repeat with some of these and probably cut some of this back. They're starting to get their way across this first dynamite field, but they have got our tube all the way over to here, so maybe it's time to start heading upwards with it. Let's grab a tubeway station here so that they can enter and exit there. And then we'll simply grab the vertical ones, and we'll just start working our way upwards. There we go. We'll start there and go all the way up here to maybe the first level. Although, I would kind of like a stop right about here. So, let's say if we go there. Kind of hard to tell. Need to go down a couple more, maybe. Tell you what, let's do this, and then we'll have a platform come out to this. Camera angles are always going to be weird on this map. Maybe if I go 4, there we go. Hey, that's the right one. All right, we do a tiny tubeway station. We do, let's say, 1 going this way, and 1 so that they can, well, they should be able to get on and off at that tubeway station. So let's go here, and then we'll just continue our tubeway stations up from there. If it will let us, there we go. And now we can build up to this height. There we go. Get our tiny tubeway station in here. And then back to the vertical ones so that we can keep going up. Or at least that's the general idea. There we go. And come on, camera, work with me. Oh, beaver's going up and down a ladder there. Let's keep going. We might have to. Where do we change that? There's definitely a lot of rocks in the way at the moment. So let's say, let's pick a height. How about there? And well, if we go there, there we go. That gets a little bit of them out of the way, and then we can just go upwards. Can we get upwards any farther? Oh, red surge started. Let's take a second, and we'll check that out and make sure that everything's okay there, and then we'll come back to that. We'll pause that. Let's go full map. Make sure that these have shut off. Those are closed. Those are closed. And there should be a bunch of it pouring out this way at the moment. There is. And then same thing over here. That's all topped off. That's capped up. And then now all we got to worry about is it looks like there should be plenty of places for this to pour off of the side of the map. But we'll have to keep an eye out on that as well. They've got our first layer set to take out here, so let's go ahead. We'll just remove that real quick. There we go. Oof, and it's gone in a bit of smoke. We still need logs. We're just low on logs everywhere. I'm going to move maybe... Is this one an out? I guess that's an out for these trees right here. So we'll go ahead and take those out. I don't think I need 2 farmers here at the moment. And then what I do need, since we're going to need some bigger explosives, is I need a place to put in the extract maker, the centrifuge. There we go. And I think that may work perfectly right here. Although it would look better right there. And we could definitely do that. And then we just have to have 1 dynamite. We'll connect one of those in. And, well, they're going to have to go over it anyway, aren't they? If instead we went dynamite here. Let's go landscaping. Let's get a dynamite in here. We'll say that's very important. And then it should connect into the bottom. And with this being mostly full, hopefully we don't need a ton of extra power going on. Hopefully these don't take up too much power. While we're at it, I think I'd like to start getting rid of some of this, because we're going to make a bit of a farm over here as well, but I'd like to get it all leveled out and figured out first. So we'll put those in. Hey, look, they got that one in. Let's go ahead, put you in. We'll say water. We'll say centrifuge right there. We'll connect it in. The bad water is just down the way. So we just need a couple of maybe... Let's see if we can get more pipeways in here, more tubeways. We'll do this, and then we'll have 1 road that goes out there. Don't really need a road that goes out there, but that's okay. We'll do this, and let's get tubeway station. We can just put you there. Connect you in there just fine. We don't really need those, so we'll save those. And then I want to go ahead and get the large storage tank. There we go. And we'll do those there and there. I could, if I put them slightly off center, so do something like this. We can store our water down here because there's a direct line, or at least any extra water. And then we'll put a medium tank here for any of the extract that's coming out of it. And for this, let's just toss in a shrub. There we go. 1 shrub, just to make it look a little nicer. We'll let them get to building that. We do want some beavers in there, because I am definitely going to need this extract that's going to have to go here. And we'll say that it even goes outwards. There we go. Out to other places. And now we can buy some larger dynamite to start dealing with some of this other stuff here. Let's go dynamite, larger dynamite, and we'll say, you know what? We don't really need those stairs anymore, so we can start taking some of those out as well. Let's make sure that they can get to all of these other dynamite. There we go. All of that goes there. And then we'll start leveling all of this stuff out. We'll probably have to find a way to get over there eventually, but, well, maybe, just maybe we can build something real quick. We need a 3 and a 2. There we go. There we go. We'll start cutting back into this hill for just a little bit, and then eventually we might put our lodges in there. I got this little bit of dynamite set up, so we're going to go ahead and take that out. It looks like there's some blockage here that we need to remove. So we'll say to remove that, but we're also going to go ahead and, you know what, we could probably put larger dynamite up here. Let's see, dynamites. Oops, let's do dynamites. And if we do 3 dynamites, I don't want to set them, and I don't want to use that much of the extract. So we're just going to do double dynamites here. Double here and all the way across for now. And then we'll come back, and that should knock that down to the right level. Let's get all of these in here. There we go. And that should knock those down each to this level here. And we'll come back and reset it up after that and see what we have. These might need knocked down after that. Over here, they're working through the dynamite. We've got less and less contaminated beavers, so it's actually on its way down, which means my population is on its way back up. We've got some of the water storage is in, which means we can dump all of these out and dump it into that one over there and have some more storage there. And then up top, they've got all of this done. They're still working around the colony some here and there. We do need to get in here and maybe flatten out some of this land so that they can have a bit more usable land. But I think for now, that's going to do it. We did take care of our issue with the red surge and probably the monsoon too. So next time we're going to come in and we're going to work on housing and probably make a food farm over here. And we'll keep an eye on our reservoir just to get some water going. But until then, just want to say thank you very much for stopping by and hope to see you next time. Bye!